It is always so fun to visit people who enjoy plants. Many of them are so knowledgeable about their flowers, perennials, trees, and shrubs. And then there's Andy Kreitzer. He is the first person to tell me he doesn't know what many of the plants are in his yard. And yet, Andy has the natural talent, artistic eye for design, ability to build things, and put them all together to have a beautiful place. Thanks so much for letting us come to visit your place, Andy.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad to have you here.
Tell us about yourself and your background.
Okay, I was born in Canby. I've lived here for 66 years. I kind of enjoy building things, doing anything that comes into my mind. I don't let much stop me. I was tickled about 41 years ago to find this property. It's an abandoned cattle yard from the railroad that when the railroad left town, I was able to purchase this piece of property for very reasonable. I built a house here 40 years ago and kind of changed it from an old cattle yard to our little piece of paradise that we enjoy and hopefully can live here as long as possible.
Andy, your house is very unique.
When I came up the idea of building a house, I kind of wanted it to be fairly energy efficient. So with this property, had a kind of an L-shaped hillside where I could back the house into and protect it from the north and western winds. Most of the windows and the garden and the yard faces the south side. So I actually get a lot of passive heat by the windows in the front of the house.
You have a beautiful stained glass window.
I actually bought it from my wife. She used to run an antique shop. It kind of had a connection with the house. They were going to tear down a church in town that was built in 1884, and I hated to see all the lumber go to waste, so I worked out a deal with the city of Canby to buy the church and take it down myself, and I built my house with the lumber from this church, which was originally built in 1884.
How or where have you gotten a lot of the plants that you've used here?
Well, originally when I built, there was a nursery in town, and I did get a lot of the shrubs and trees for some of it through the nursery. Mainly I had hedges, shrubs, and evergreen plants. I haven't really had hardly any flowers or regular plants other than maybe a few hostas till the last 5 years or so. This area of the state has a lot of rocks, and there were a lot of rocks by the creek that runs through our yard and from the railroad and grading the land to get it kind of suitable for a yard. We ran into lots and lots of rocks, so they were easy to find. My wife talked to me a few years ago how she'd like a flower garden. I was more the manly thing where I planted shrubs and trees and bushes, but I didn't really have any flowers because it seemed like flowers were a lot of work, and I wasn't too interested in that. But a few years ago, I was getting tired of mowing a corner in our yard because it was kind of a right angle and hard to mow decent without tearing the lawn up. So basically, most of this garden was planted in 2019 in late summer.
And you've kind of got quite a slope here too, so how did you handle that?
I was actually happy because we're built by the creek, so the house is kind of backed up and a little higher than the rest of the yard because of the flooding on the creek, so I needed an elevation to change on that to protect us from the flooding, but it also kind of helps with the drainage and has worked out well for the garden. And
What were some of the other things that you were taking into consideration when you were designing the landscape too? Because you had mentioned, it's so beautiful.
well, it just kind of grew organically. I plant a few things here, a few things there, and if I didn't care for it, I'd move it around. But I kind of like to do things without over planning them. I tried working with what the yard wanted me to do with it and what felt like it fit in. So it just basically was dragging a hose around for a few of the landscaping borders and that. Other than that, I just didn't want too many straight lines, so everything's curvy and it's got a little flow to it, I hope.
How do you keep up with all of the weeding and everything?
Not very well at sitting still, so I figure it's good stretching exercise and balance, and I don't mind too much getting out, other than right above us is a huge silver maple with probably about 2 million seeds every about this time of the year that make a challenge to get cleaned up. And I think because of the dry year last year, the seeds were even worse this year. I like being out in it now. Now I'm retired and I have the time, so I'm not pushed so hard, so it doesn't bother me. I enjoy it, actually.
How do you keep up with the watering?
I do have a sprinkler system, which I got in last year, put in, and that has kind of cured it. And the watering was a challenge when the plants were young the first year. Since I planted so late, it was hard to keep them watered enough to keep them to survive, and then the next year they were still a little tough, but now they're fairly established and it doesn't seem to be as much of a problem.